The launch tower trembled as the final ignition sequence roared through the desert base. A brilliant column of fire cut through the sky, carrying her away from Earth faster than fear could fully form in her mind. Her name was Aria Collins, a mission specialist chosen for a deep space research voyage, intended to last only 18 months in her frame of reference. Inside the capsule, everything was calm. Artificial gravity hummed gently. Monitors blinked with steady reassurance. Mission control voices faded into routine check-ins and technical confirmations. Aria pressed her palm against the small glass panel beside her seat, watching Earth shrink into a fragile blue marble. Her last memory before sleep was her boyfriend standing behind the glass of the observation room. Daniel. He smiled like he believed she was coming back the same way she left. He did not cry. He promised he would wait. Then the sleep cycle began. She dreamed in fragments of stars and silence. When the wake sequence started, Arya expected the familiar voice of mission control and the usual checklist. Instead, there was static, then a different voice, older. Evio. Uncertain. Arya Collins, this is Earth Recovery Command. Respond if you can hear us. She blinked, disoriented. Her throat felt dry as dust. I hear you. What happened to the relay team? There was a pause that lasted too long. You have been in transit for 20 years Earth time. The words did not make sense at first. She laughed once, thinking it was a systems error. That is impossible. My mission duration is 18 months. Another pause. Your ship encountered a relativistic drift anomaly. Your velocity remained stable, but temporal displacement occurred outside predicted margins. You are the only returning crew member. Crew member. The phrase struck her harder than the time jump. There had been others. Aria looked around the capsule. Empty seats, faint scorch marks, dust where there should not have been dust. Her reflection in the glass looked unchanged. Same face, same eyes, same 32-year-old woman she remembered being before launch. But Earth had moved on without her. The landing was rough, too rough. The parachutes deployed late. The desert beneath the capsule was not the same facility she remembered. It was larger now, more fortified, almost militarized. When the hatch opened, sunlight spilled in like a shock. Figures approached in protective suits. One of them stepped forward and removed his helmet. He was older, much older. Arya stepped down slowly. Her legs felt like they belonged to someone else. She scanned every face, searching instinctively for the one person who mattered. Daniel. She did not see him. Her voice came out hoarse. Where is Daniel Collins? The officials exchanged looks. A silence followed that was not gentle. Finally one of them spoke. He is not here. He has been relocated. Relocated where? Another pause. Then the answer. He is in the city. He is alive. He has been expecting you in a way. In a way was not reassuring. They transported her by armored vehicle. The world outside was unfamiliar. Cities had expanded upward and inward, dense and layered like mechanical forests. The sky had more aircraft than clouds. Billboards flickered with languages she did not recognize. 20 years had not just passed. It had rewritten everything. When they arrived at the secure facility, she was led through corridors that felt more like a hospital than a command center. Finally, they stopped at a room with a single door. A guard looked at her before speaking quietly. He has changed. You should be prepared. Prepared for what she almost asked. But the door opened before she could. And there he was. Daniel stood near the window. Tall, familiar in shape, but altered in presence. His hair was mostly gray now. Lines carved deeper into his face. He turned slowly as if movement itself required effort. For a moment neither of them spoke. Arya took a step forward. Daniel. His eyes widened. Not in disbelief. In something more complicated. Recognition mixed with grief and relief. You look exactly the same, he said. Her breath caught. You look. She could not finish. 20 years, he said softly. I have rehearsed this moment in my head so many times that I stopped believing it would happen. Arya shook her head slightly. This is not possible. I left yesterday for me. And I watched you leave 20 years ago for me, he replied. Silence filled the room like a physical presence. Then Arya moved closer, studying him as if he were a stranger wearing the memory of someone she loved. What happened here? Daniel sat down slowly. Where do I even begin? He told her about the world that changed after the mission failed to return on schedule. At first, they thought it was a communications blackout. Then weeks became months. Months became years. Memorials were built, then dismantled, then rebuilt again in different forms. He told her about the lawsuits, the investigations, the theories, about how space agencies collapsed and reformed under global coalitions, about how her mission became both legend and warning. And he told her about himself. "I did not move on," he said quietly. "Not really, but life does not wait for grief to finish." Arya listened, her hands trembling slightly. "You are saying I became a story, you became a question no one could answer," Daniel said. She turned away, walking toward the window. Outside, the city pulsed with indifferent life. 20 years. She tried to imagine it, but her mind refused to bridge the gap. Then she asked the question she was afraid of. "Why do you look at me like that?" Daniel hesitated. "Because I am not the same person you left behind." Arya frowned. "You are Daniel." "I am," he said, "but I am also the man who buried you in every version of my future." Her chest tightened. "I did not die." "Not physically," he said, "but I lived through your absence. That changes a person." She turned back to him. "I never stopped thinking about you," he nodded slowly. "And I never stopped waiting for a version of you that might never come back." The silence that followed was different now. Less heavy, more fragile. Arya stepped closer again. "I need to understand what this means for us." Daniel gave a faint, tired smile. "That depends on whether we are still the same people who made the promise." She looked at him. Really looked. The boy she had loved was still there somewhere under the years. But so was a stranger shaped by time she had not lived through. "Do you still want me?" she asked. The question hung in the air like gravity shifting. Daniel finally answered. "I do not know if wanting is enough anymore." That night, Arya could not sleep. She sat in the sterile guest quarters, staring at her hands. They had not aged, not a day, yet everything they once held had changed. She replayed every memory of Daniel until it hurt. In the morning she requested access to the mission records. What she found was incomplete. Corrupted data, missing logs, entire segments classified beyond her clearance. One file, however, remained intact. Final transmission from Earth support to Vessel Collins. It contained only a single line. "Do not attempt return under normal relativity assumptions." No explanation followed. Arya felt a cold realization form in her chest. This had not been an accident alone. Someone had known something. She went back to Daniel. He was already waiting, as if he had known she would come. "I need the truth," she said. He nodded. "I know." They sat together for a long time before he spoke again. "After you disappeared, something changed in the space program. Not just policies. Physics research shifted. There were experiments with controlled time dilation fields. Attempts to understand what happened to you." Arya listened carefully. And I think," Daniel said slowly, "your mission was part of something larger than we were told." Her heart began to race. "You mean I was sent into this knowingly?" "I do not know," he admitted. "But I know they stopped trying to bring you back the same way." Arya stood abruptly. "So what am I?" Daniel looked at her with an expression she could not read fully. "A survivor. A result. A warning." The words cut deeper than she expected. She backed away slightly. "I want to go home." "This is home now," Daniel said gently. "No," she replied. "Home is what I left." For the first time, Daniel looked away. Outside, the city continued to move forward without noticing the weight of what had returned to it. Arya realized then that time had not only taken 20 years from Daniel. It had taken something from her too. Something she had not yet fully understood. And somewhere deep in the silence between them, the question remained unanswered. What happens when one person is left behind by time itself? She did not know yet. But she was about to find out.